Hi all, Pankaj here. So in this video we're going to talk about sharing rules. We have studied the OWD settings. There are various settings, but the three important ones are private, public read and public read write. Okay, so now whenever the OWD setting is either public read or private, basically these are the most restrictive one in the OWD. Whenever the settings are these two, then if suppose we want to give access to certain other user on these conditions, so for that we use sharing rules. Okay, sharing rules just open up the access if the settings of OWD are either private or public read. So that is what sharing rules do. So now let's study more about it. Okay, so the first point here says your org wide default sharing setting give you a relative restrict baseline of access for each object. Basically it's saying the OWD is little restrictive. Now to open that we use sharing rules. That is what we're going to study here. Okay, if you have org wide sharing default of public read only or private, you can open access back for some user with sharing rules. That's the same point that I just stated. Okay, this enables you to make automatic exception to your org wide sharing settings for selected sets of users. It is automated, not that you have to manually give access. Okay, that you don't need to, you just define them and then they happens in the background. Let's break the sharing rules into different parts and study them. So first point is sharing rules are based on first who owns the record and the values of the field in the record. Basically these are the two conditions that we used, either one of them, to define the sharing rules, whether who owns the record or what are the fields, which field values should be the sharing rules be based on. So these are the condition on which sharing rules can be based on, either who owns the record or the values is in the record. Okay, now let's say with whom we would share the access. Okay, the access would be shared with individual users, roles and subordinates, basically the seniors and juniors, and public groups. Public groups we will see in the next slide. So for now just understand these are the people or guys with whom we would share the access. Let's come to what kind of access does the sharing rule will provide. Sharing rule will provide read only or read write access. Okay, because the restrictive ones are either private or read only. So to open more up on them we would be using either read only or read write access. So hope you're clear with the sharing rules. Now let's study what are public groups. Okay, before we move ahead, public group is a collection of individual users. Other group means other public group, individual roles or roles with their subordinates. Roles we studied in one of the video, so you could go to the data security playlist and check it, or I would be adding a link for that in the description. Okay, now let's take an example for that. Users with the recruiter profile. Okay, there is a recruiter profile as well as user in the manager role, both review job application. Okay, so since both are reviewing in the same thing, we could create a public group of reviewer. Okay, and add both of them. So the public group is nothing, just simple, this is a collection of users or roles. Okay, now how do we create public group? We go to the setup, then quick find and type public group there, and we will then reach to the page where we could create public group. We will see that in our org. So let's move ahead. So how to create sharing rules? Setup, quick find and then sharing setting. We will see that in org as well. So this is just the path how to reach to the place where you will be setting sharing rules. Now we comes to the manual sharing. Now sharing rules were automated process. The owner of a record doesn't have to do anything to share the access, but here in the manual sharing the owner manually gives the access to other users. Okay, so owner manually gives access to whom? It's the same people with whom we were giving the access to this sharing using sharing rules: individual users, roles and subordinates, and public groups. So how do we that? Open the record. Whenever just open the record for which you want to share, go to that and you will find the sharing option and just click that. I will show you how we do that, no worry about it. If you are not able to understand how that click sharing I'm saying, where is it present, we will see that in our org and you will understand better. So no issue on that. Now what kind of access? The similar access we were giving using in sharing rules, that is read only or read write access. So that's all from the the conceptual parts. Now we will be moving to our org and see both sharing rules and manual sharing. So we are here in our org, so let's move to the setup. I've already opened that setup tab for you. Okay, go to the setup and type sharing settings. Okay, you go to the and type sharing settings. Okay, and then it comes and we go there. So we're going to design sharing settings for a custom object named as school. Okay, this one is what we are going to deal with. Okay, so this is a custom object which I created in one of the previous videos. So we are going to create the sharing rules for it, but first we are going to set it to private and then we will use sharing rules for it. Okay, so we go to the edit in OWD and then we will scroll down and go to that school and make it private. Okay, and save it. So we have saved it. So I already told you in one of the previous video that it takes time. Okay, so no issue on that. Must be private by now. Yeah, it's private. So to set the sharing rules for it, what we will go do is we'll scroll down here and we'll find the school object here. Yeah, here, and like this is our sharing rules for school. We just click new and this is a label. Let's name it test sharing. Okay, sharing rules. Okay, let the Z be as it is, no issue on that. Okay, so that is the description. It now these are the two conditions that I told you would be available there. Like you wanna create the sharing rules based on the record owner, like who owns the record, based on certain criteria on fields. Let's make it based on criteria. Okay, now that field that Salesforce that make it based on criteria. Okay, and now that object school has only one field. Okay, let me show that to you. Okay, type here school. So if we click new, here it has only one field. Okay, so like the object you might be creating sharing rules will have other fields, so you could change according to that. We will be designing only for that based on the criteria. Okay, so for here we will move, say, school name. That's the only field. Let's say it contains, let's say, sharing. Okay, that is the keyword sharing. If it contains sharing, then this rule will automatically get initiated. Okay, now we want to share with either public groups, roles and subordinates. Okay, let it be public group for now. Okay, roles, like you could do also with roles, like all the roles that are available in your org and all the users who are assigned to that particular role will have the access. Okay, and then roles and subordinate is basically same the roles. Like basically if I click here channel sales team, like this the user with this role and all his subordinates will have the access. So that is roles and subordinates. Let's make it public group, and like we haven't created any public group yet. So okay, so let's create one public group. Okay, that way you will have the better idea of public group as well. So let me duplicate this one. So we go here and type public groups. So we made public groups. Click it. Yeah, it's loaded, and click new. Like label name is, let's say, test public. Okay, test public. Okay, that's our label for it. And public groups, like do you want to create the group from other public groups? Since we haven't created any public groups, so no issue on that. So we will be using roles and subordinate will be same thing. Like what are the, like this group will consist of which roles, and if we consist of roles and subordinate, this we select roles and subordinate here. Like we will be deciding this group will consist of like which roles and their subordinates. Okay, that is what it means. But since we are not using it for now, like you could try it. If you face any issue, let me know in the comments, or you could always connect with me on LinkedIn, as I'm like mostly active there. And you could also drop me a mail. Okay, so let's try users. Others are very simple, that you will not face much difficult. Let's try with users. Let's add only this user. It's okay, Salesforce Hunter, that we created in the profile and permission video. Okay, that you could check. I would add the link, and you could also go to the data security playlist. Now we have added a user to our public group. We have created our public group. Just first, okay, add, leave that as it is, just save it for now. So we have created our public group. Now we go to our sharing rules. Now that public group like might not be available yet. Okay, let me refresh it and we will name it again. No issue on that. So hope you are able to understand how we create public groups and what are the options available while creating public groups. Okay, let's name it test sharing rule. Okay, and that is it is, and we were using based on criteria where the only field were available school name. We will name it contains, let's say it contains sharing, and we will share the public group we just created. Okay, dash public. And there is another by default group here which is all internal users. Basically all the users available in your org will have the access if we select public group and then public group as all internal users. All internal users means all the users of your org. That is what it means. Okay, we will be selecting test public, which is the one that we created, and the access we want to give is, let's say, read and write. As I already told you, only two access we could give, either read only or read write. If it is private or if it's read only, these are the two access that we could give. So let's say we want to give read and write, and we save it. Okay, we save it. We have created our sharing rules based on the values on the of a field. Okay, so we scroll down, then we will create based on users as well. As you could see, school name contains sharing. Let me create a say school which says sharing test. I think that it would be available that way. Let me check the rule again. What was the keyword? It's sharing. Okay, yeah, we have added the sharing there. Here we have created a record sharing z test. Okay, if we save it, okay, the user Salesforce Hunter, which was the only available in that public group we created, will be able to access it. So I've already logged in with that user, so no need to log in. Yeah, let me refresh it and it will be available here. Let's say we go to the all. Okay, it's available here. Now let's create another school which doesn't contain the keyword sharing. Okay, so we go back and go to here and just click new Hunter test. Let it be Hunter test. Okay, we just created it. Let's save it. Okay, it's saved. Now this will not be available to our user. Okay, so if we like copy this one, Hunter test. Okay, let me go back to that, yeah, and refresh it. It will not be available at all here. It's already selected to all, only this is selected. Even we copy paste it, it will not be available because it's not available here. And also to show you one thing, let's go back to the all. Let's remove it. Okay, and click it all. Okay, if I do one thing, edit. Okay, I could edit this one. Okay, let's remove sharing and let it be z test. Now once I do that, I have removed the sharing, which is the condition here to get the access for this user. Okay, so now if I save it, the user access will not be available at all. Okay, it's error. Let me save it again and it will be error. Cancel it and refresh it. Okay, you will see that it's not available here at all because it got edited, but it shows that error message because it now doesn't have the access because that sharing keyword has been removed. If I do that, you will not have it. And now if we move back here and go to say, and you will see its name has been removed, changed basically. Z test has came here. So that is how we create sharing rules based on certain condition on the fields of that object. Now let's try making it based on the users. Okay, for let's say another object, let's say opportunity. Okay, opportunity, where is the opportunity? Opportunity, yeah, opportunity is there. Let's create new. Hope you are able to understand for the school. Now we will be using based on the record owner. Let it be as it is. Let's say test to sharing. Okay, we did it. We named it test to sharing based on the record owner. Let's say the owner is like test public does only have that user Salesforce Hunter, and we don't have any other user, so that could be kind of tricky. Roles for, like, I forgot to make it private since we are testing it. Let me go back here and test the sharing setting here. Okay, let's make the opportunity private first. Sharing setting. Okay, go back here and go to the edit. That is the one thing that we forgot to change here. Where is the opportunity here? Yeah, I've already made it private, so no issue on that. So just save it. So it's already private. Okay, for the sharing setting, let's select say all internal user. That simply means that a record created by any user will be available for other user as well. Okay, basically the access. So let's make it all internal users. Basically the opportunity owned by any of the user will be available to any of the user in your org. Basically it's kind of we are making the user every record available to every user. Okay, and make the access to say read only, so that you could understand later, so that you don't confuse between read and write. Like when I do read and write, you will see both the same thing at all. That way you might not understand it. If I do read only, the owner will have all the access, but the other one who's trying to access that record will could only read it, not edit it. So let's save it so that you don't even have the confusion and you understand the concept clearly. So we have saved it and created a sharing rule on the opportunity. Let us check it. So here is the sharing rules, and let's create let's say opportunity here, new opportunity. Make it maybe personal, whatever it is. Okay, test op, maybe just test op sharing. Okay, just do that, and I guess the required field, let's fill the required field as well. And stage B, let's say negotiation, others are not the required field. Let's save it. So we have created an opportunity test op sharing. So it's available here, like this user, basically the admin here, that is a me, could edit it. Okay, so this user, basically the system admin, that's me, would be able to edit this record with the edit button, but the other user, which is Salesforce Hunter, would not be able to edit it but could read it. Okay, so let's open it in another tab and see. Okay, let's go to the opportunities, and the name is test op sharing. So opportunities it is. So let's all records, all opportunities. Let's give it test op sharing if it comes. Okay, let me copy the name again. Let me copy it and paste it, and let's search it. Yeah, it's here. Okay, but we would not be able to edit it. Yeah, as you could see, let's try editing it, but we would not be able to do that. Let's say we want to make its closing date something else, let's say 31, and try to save it. We will get an error message. Yeah, we couldn't do it. Okay, so that is on the sharing rules. Okay, now let's talk about the manual sharing. Okay, now let's talk about this record as well, and you will be able to understand manual sharing with this example itself. Now you could see this user, like the Salesforce Hunter, through sharing rules have the access to only read it but not edit it. Suppose let's assume a case we are not creating more sharing rules. Okay, or the user who's trying to give the access don't know what is sharing rules. So what he could do is share it manually. Okay, how he would do it? Let's go to back to this where the system admin created it. Go to here and you will find this sharing option. Click it, and let's search the user. Let's name it Salesforce Hunter. Okay, the users are scrolling, let it search it. Okay, name it Salesforce Hunter. Yeah, it's here. Let's select it. Now it already have a read only. Let's make it read and write. That we gave it to the manually, and we save it. So that's how you gave manual access. Now let's go back to Salesforce Hunter user, and let's refresh it first. Now let's try to edit it, and this time it will not give us any error. Okay, let's change the this date to say 31, and maybe negotiation review to close, not closed one. Let's say proposal. Okay, let's save it. It's saved. because we gave the edit access just using manual sharing. So hope you're clear with both the sharing rules and manual sharing. And that's all from my side. Thanks for watching.